Hal here with more Space Engineers. Yay! And as you can tell, well, you can probably tell, we have been letting Bob go a little crazy, right? So, so the white line out there, that's where Bob can reach out to. As you can tell, it differs a little bit. But that's basically where Bob's gotten out to for welding purposes. It's kind of the cutoff point there. So that means we have this entire area without having to move the ship anywhere in order to have Bob build for us. Well, that's going to be good because we're planning on building a bit of a ship down here. And I'm thinking it is going to be a general purpose ship. Now, because if you remember on Friday, I did ask everybody to give some feedback. Got a lot of feedback. Want to thank everybody who did that. Also want to say welcome to the community. So we had a bunch of people join over the last week or two. So I just want to say welcome to the community. Hopefully everybody's enjoying it. And feel free, if you do have any questions or there's things you want to see, be sure to put them down in the comment section. I do try to answer all of the comments that I can. I think I'm pretty good about it. Usually it's same day, but sometimes it'll take a day or two, especially if it's on like the late Friday, early weekend, because I'm in game all day over the weekend, basically trying to get everything set up for the recording that week. But anyway, all right, so what have we done? We have the walkways in place. We have gone ahead and removed the hard tether that we had between the upper and lower bases, but we did get the conveyor network in, and we do have this feeding a line down here, which feeds the new little lower office area that we put in. And this is basically so that while we're down here working, or we're waiting for things to process, we have a place to hang out that's pressurized and has a little bit of light, access to the cargo system, and we put a survival kit in. Now, we had been talking about this with people in the comment section as well as over on Twitter. Haven't really been having conversations on Discord recently, but anyway. But yeah, so basically I went ahead and put a survival kit in because it does give us an additional spawn point over here. So if in the worst case something does happen and we need to get back here to get to, say, the giant mining ship, or we just want to get back here fairly quickly, this allows us to do so. And we have a little desk here for when I'm AFK and letting things process out. Speaking of processing, we have no stone in the system. 5+ hours of doing nothing but letting this game run to process stone. Could I have been a little bit more productive in the game? Yeah, probably. If nothing else, I could have been out and about exploring the local asteroids, trying to find our resources. But the thing is that even with all of the plates and everything that we've consumed just building the landing pad down here, we still have like almost 300k of iron. To give you an idea, the amount of iron necessary to finish this entire thing was about 1.6 million units. I have enough plates to finish this. It's just Bob isn't close enough to actually weld it all up. So yeah, we've got a lot of materials out of the stone so far. Now, that being said, I'm probably going to rework this entire thing to move it over. I don't know, probably so that it's centered around here-ish, so we can get more of the uranium out. I mean, we have almost 1 million units of raw uranium ore that we pulled out of just that plunge dive. If we do another plunge dive over here, I won't need uranium for the rest of the series. And that's if, we're still doing 3 episodes a week for, the rest of the year. There's so much uranium being processed right now. Oh, but it does have the benefit of, if we want to bring in some of the mods that utilize uranium for other things, we can do that as well. So, what are we going to do today? Well, I think the overwhelming support was for one of the small ships go large builds. So we're going to work on that. So what we want to talk about here, let's come back down here. And I'm going to use the stairs until we put them in. There's no reason not to. So what I'm thinking is we're going to have a multifunction ship. Now, what I would like to do is that it will have a open bridge, meaning that you'll be able to walk in and out of the bridge, but it will be the entire ship is expected to be environmentally sealed. We will have a habitation area. We will have an engineering room, and I'm expecting there to be at least one hangar in it, because what I'm planning on doing is building a small grid mining rig that we can take with us. And then that way we basically have everything that we really need. The other thing that I'm going to do is I am going to install the shield mod for a couple of different reasons. One of which, it's something that a lot of people use, and I think that for the folks who haven't seen it, it'll add some things to your toolbox. It'll also give you it may give you some ideas on things to implement, because depending on which shield mod you're using, there are some restrictions on how it's used. The one I'm going to be using is the one that's the bubble shield. Basically, the emitters have to be exposed, so you can't bury them in the internals of the ship. This is important because there's a separate shield mod that will actually allow you to bury the modules. What that one does is it works on what you would consider a integrity field system. Basically, it takes the number of hit points in the ship and it multiplies them up to, I want to say, double, maybe to like 10 times. There's a multiplier in there. And so basically what it is really doing is it's adding hit points to the ship. The problem with it is that particular mod is really, really easy to exploit. There's modules that you can load in, and for each module, it'll increase the amount of hit points that are available. And as long as you have power for it, it becomes really difficult to defeat. Where the bubble shield actually has a set level of hit points based on the amount of power. There are mods to boost that a little bit, but there's a limit on how far you can boost it. Where the structural integrity one, it's really not limited. You can just start throwing random blocks on, and you can end up with a ridiculous amount of hit points. To be fair, the bubble shield ends up with a ridiculous amount of hit points as well, but it can be defeated. It's easier to defeat, and it requires the emitter to be exposed. So there's always the potential for that to be destroyed if your shields ever do drop. So that's my logic on it. Long-winded way of saying, yes, I will have shields. Okay. So we have our little work base down here. What we are going to do is, like any ship, we need to start at the beginning. So I'm going to bring you out. Actually, how many blocks is this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 blocks. Oh. Sorry, had to do it. All right, let's flip this thing around. And I need steel plates. I'm sitting there going, why isn't it turning green? It's because I need steel plates. Okay, let's grab some steel plates really quick. Whoop. All right, and actually I might need more of that. There you go. Let's grab a couple of those just to have them, and we'll grab, a bunch of those. Now, the reason I'm grabbing some of that other stuff is because some of the blocks we're going to be using require you to do things other than use just steel plates. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be roughly the middle. And if we go there, and The Space Engineer's field goal attempt. Okay, that tells me it's stuck. That's good. Oh, wait, before we do anything else, I need to tell Bob to turn off Bob's, quick. What I should do is I should put in a button down here for the Bobs. And that way when we're ready to flip the switch, we can turn Bob's on and off whenever he's attached to the station. All right. So for the next few videos, we're probably going to be working on this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for those who don't know, I generally do a spire of 5 blocks or so, and then I build out from there whenever I'm building a ship. Even when I do large grid builds, mainly because of the fact that if I want to put large thrusters on it, I'm never quite sure how far down things are going to hang on the ship. And so 5 blocks in the grid size that you're working in generally tends to be enough, because then I can actually have room to put a full large thruster in place if that is what I choose to do. So as an example here, helps if I grab the right size. Let's grab you. And so that's why. Because things like thrusters are 4 or 5 blocks tall. You know, even if I wanted to do a jump drive or something down here, I could. And that just, it gives me that much more flexibility in the design. And if, because I'll even do this for when I do surface builds for wheeled vehicles, because I tend to use the 3x3 or even the 5x5 wheels anyway. So there's not enough distance when you build them, when you cut it free, that it's going to destroy the wheels when you release it. So it's a good size. Distance works for me in probably 99% of the cases. There's always that one fringe case where things could go wrong. So get rid of this. All right. So I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure how large I want to make the ship, but if we go, I'm thinking it's going to be 3 blocks wide for the beam, or for the keel, I should say. All right, so then we're going to end up with a huge number of blocks here. Well, we're just going to, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure how large this thing's going to end up, but, you know, we'll see. And since we are planning on there being a hangar on it, the question will become, are we going to do a side hangar? Because the nice thing about Space Engineers is that we can build asymmetrical ships fairly easily, because we don't have to worry about symmetrical thrust, because all thrust vectors are applied to the center of the mass. So it wouldn't be unheard of to build something where we have a hangar on one side, all the habitation stuff on the other side. So we could do something like that. Almost thinking Blockade Runner from the movie franchise about the wars in the stars. That might actually be something kind of interesting to build. I might do something like that, because that actually has a small hangar space on it. Because like I said, we don't need anything massively overblown as far as hangar spaces are concerned. So 3 blocks is wide enough for, there you go. It's wide enough for a Space Engineer to get through. So our main hallway will be 3 blocks as well. And what I'm thinking here is that we'll have another layer on here for the floor, And what this gives us is also gives us the ability to embed things like our conveyors into the floors and still have them protected from exterior. And what we're going to end up with is that we'll have a heavy armor layer that runs down this line. And so we'll have that be a thing as well. And basically this is going to be our floor level. And you always want your keel to be a little bit stronger than everything else. I have to say that's a good thing that we're not doing Starbase. Man, building ships in that game, whew, you have to worry about all sorts of structural integrity and thruster placement. It is a actual Newtonian physics game. For those who haven't seen it, I'll probably do something with it on the channel in the near future. There's a couple of folks that have asked to see it. I put a poll up a while back, and there was a lot of people. There was a lot of excitement about it. So I'll probably do something with the shipbuilder in that, just because the regular gameplay right now, the only real thing that you have going on is shipbuilding, station building, and mining. There is combat and stuff. It is a PvP enabled game, but they have safe zones and such. So yeah, we'll talk about that off somewhere else. Alright, so that gets us our basic floor area. And we're going to carry this forward a few more blocks. And like I said, we're just really trying to get an idea of what our scale is going to look like for this thing. Because I'm going to, you know, completely honest here, I don't have a design that I'm really working from right in a second. This is all freeform right now. So I'm thinking, may do something. How about if we go, let's go like this. We'll bring this forward. And then that'll allow me to have a little bit of flexibility in what I'm doing.
Energy critical.
What we're doing later on here. There we go. Let's go ahead and force charge really quick. So yeah, so we'll end up with the keel area being 2 blocks of light armor and at least 1 block of heavy armor. Rest of it will be the floor and then heavy armor below it. Alright, so let's just go ahead and grab like a K of that. And this is the problem with small ship builds, is that you use a lot of plates in just the framework, like just building things out. But it also has the benefit that the final build, you know, it's only 1 plate. And if we weren't using Bob, I would be doing the same design style, but what I would be doing is welding as I go. That way I don't end up with areas that aren't welded up. I mean, like I said, small ships really can't take a hit, which is why we are going to put the shield system in. Yeah, that should be good. All right. I have to remember to build in groups of 3 for clearances, and groups of 5 for usability. Meaning that if you want to have a hallway that you can walk down, we could actually get away with what we have here. Let me show you really quick. I don't recommend ever building this small, but you can actually get away with quite a bit with small grids because their collision boxes are so let's say unique. Oh, crud. I'm so used to having blocks on both 4 and 5, it's like... So what we're going to do is just go ahead and drop a bunch here. Now, the one thing that we are going to run into, some of the blocks that I want to use are some of the new passageway blocks, but they don't have those on small grids. Those are large grid only. I actually need one more of you. So what we're going to end up with is something like this, and I may actually make the hallway a little wider. I may expand it out 2 blocks so that the hallway stays at 3 blocks, and then you have, you know, the ability to walk through it still. So this should be just small enough to give us problems. Generally what I will do, just to show you why I do stuff the way I do it sometimes. Come here. Alright, so if we do that, see, you can't get through here, but we can crouch and can't get through here, see? But what you can do is, see if we can get all this out of here. So if you do this, will this give me enough room? This used to give me enough room, so let's see if this works. Just try and get our idea here for, because obviously you're not going to be able to walk through that. No, okay. So it is going to be there. All right. See, this is one thing that I do like about some of the other games that are out right now, is that when this kind of thing happens, where you have pieces floating around, you can actually grab them. Space engineers need some kind of grabby hand. Alright, so this is why I was saying 3 blocks is wide enough, but you need 5 blocks to be able to actually, if you want to walk around in an area. Okay, so that means we are going to add one more block to both sides. And then if we want to have a passageway, come on, dude, really? Space engineers, she's starting to get to me again, buddy. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be even. All right. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's going to be our bridge area. So, all right. So now we go like so. And ever since Keen finally added the small window blocks to the vanilla gameplay, so much better. Makes doing this kind of stuff so much easier because we don't have any of the small ship mods in right now. There are actually mods that will allow you to add some of the functionality devices like jump drives, well, specifically jump drives, to small grids. Now, Keen's official stance on it is that there's no expectation that jump drives will ever be added to the small block inventory because they want there to be a progression. Small blocks are supposed to be where you start, you progress into larger blocks, you start getting things like jump drives to expand your reach. So it's a progression system that they really want to enforce. So we'll see. I don't mind either way. There are mods that you can get that will allow you to do this, and we are probably going to play with at least one of them. I need to check to make sure that it still works with all the changes Space Engineers has seen over the years. Okay. And then one of the reasons I am building this out is because I want to have an idea of basically how much do we really need here. So that's going to be another block up. Actually, we want that block. That's going to give us, yeah, that's going to give us the hallway line. That's going to give us the line we're looking for. I think this is bad. Wait until we get to the Greebling Pass. Woohoo, that's going to be crazy. So this is one of the nice things about using the small blocks when you're doing these types of ships, is that you really can get the detail work in here. And we're not to the point where we're going to start talking about things like super gridding. Just so everybody knows, I'm not planning on doing a super grid on this build. For those who don't know what that is, super gridding entails basically editing the SBC files for the blocks, which allow the connection points that are on the both large and small block formats to have a connection point or a sub connection point for the other blocks. So what you would be able to do is say, if you wanted to super grid this, I could do that. Come here. And then, really? And then attach a large grid block to the exterior. What that allows you to do is basically have a small grid system encapsulate it within a large grid ship, or vice versa. You can actually build a large grid ship and have it covered with small grids, so you can actually do like greebling and things where you can get a lot more detail in on it. Now, the reason why I am not going to do that, a couple reasons. One, I'm not going to expect players that are using this as any type of guide or tutorial to know how to do that. And I'm not going to expect you to be willing to do it, because it does require you to go in and edit the files. It's not hard. but you can cause problems if you don't do it correctly. So we're not going to do that. What I may do, and I was really debating on this before, was using a large grid to small grid transition. Now, in order to do that, you use rotors. You take the rotor head off, and then you can replace a large grid rotor with a small grid rotor head. So you can replace the large head with the small one. And what that allows you to do is basically do the same thing. The problem that you run into, and the reason why a lot of people don't tend to like to do it that way, and you'll see a lot of people who prefer to go the super grid version, is because having a rotor connecting a subgrid like that, the things that are on the subgrid don't always have controls or commands that pass through, because they are two separate grids joined at the rotor. And so that causes some problems for some of the things that you may want to do. It's really just, it is just another option. I also like to use rotors for hinge points. Before we had hinges, that was really the only way to have a flexible joint, was to stack rotors together, where, you know, one to carry for, you know, x, and then one to carry for y axes, and that would allow you to have, like, effectively have ball joints and stuff. And you'd see it on some of the axle builds, and you also see pistons on some of the axle builds. And what that allows you to do is you can actually build suspension with pistons. So if we do that. Okay, so now we have a couple of options here. I am going to do the simpler of the two, because I really don't want to have to go back and change the layout and everything too much. Okay, so we could take this up so that the corridor ends up taller than it is wide. And if we did that, we'd be able to use these guys. And so what that would allow you to do is to have, you know, basically it comes in, rolls flat, and then rolls back out, which would also give you a little bit of detail work in the hallway. What we're going to do, take these out, is we're going to go with the half blocks. And this gives us a smoother appearance in the hallway. So you end up with a more of a rounded condition here, or a rounded surface. Also, these have slightly more hit points. And so you can end up with slightly more durable builds. And then, like I said, we're not really sure where we're going to be putting everything in here. I'm really just working on what is the main corridor at this point. And at the end of each, or I should say at each end of the corridor, we are going to have some doors. But we'll get to that in a moment. Right. When all of this is said and done, should give you a good idea of what we're going to end up with. Yeah. And see, with the hallway being designed the way it is, where it's 3 wide, we could actually get away with having this be taller. But like I said, I really am not wanting to go that route. I would like to keep this somewhat more usable. And like I said, you know, it's really going to come down to what you want to do and how you want to do things. Yeah, what works for me in this particular build may not work for what you're planning, and that's fine. You know, do what works for you. All right. Ah. And this is the drawback to building hallways like this, is that every surface is walkable. But yeah, like I said, we'll probably end up loading one of the Small Ships Goes Large mods, probably the actual namesake of that mod, because I do want to have gravity on this thing, and I'm not actually. Let's check really quick. Yeah, large grid only. So I'm gonna have to load one of the large grid mods in that will allow us to have some of the large grid blocks on the small grid, and we'll have it'll be a small grid, a small grid equivalent of. Oh, come on! It was perfectly fine until it wasn't. All right, come here, you. But yeah, so as you can see, we now have enough room to walk around down here. And what we'll do is we'll come back, and as we figure out where we want to do for rooms and where we want things at, we'll cut the doorways out. But this really is just to get center of the hallway in. Okay, and then we are going to go like so. I'm not really sure what we're going to be putting behind these walls right this second, so I'm not going to bury them too deep in blocks. I mean, it's not like it's difficult to deal with all of it. It's just, you know, why do it if we don't need to? So now we do that. And I may extend the gravity generator field down here just to make it a little easier to work on the stuff. Because then I can turn my grav boots off and I stop sticking to the walls while I'm building. Okay, and I think this is probably going to do it for today for us. Now, like I said, this is not going to be a fast build. We're going to be here for a while, so the plan long term for what we're doing is that we will probably do a couple of episodes of building, like we'll do some building today and Wednesday. We will do, I need to go get some ore, like I need to get some platinum. So we'll probably do a fly around on Friday's video, just something casual to get us into the weekend, which also sets me up for the next build session, which will be next weekend, making things a little bit easier for me, hopefully. All right. And we have a hallway. And here's the nice thing about when you build like this. You don't need any additional plates because these things are one plate only. Alright. I really should put the button down here for Bob. Okay. Come on, Bob. Go do your thing. He's on fly mode, so he should pick this stuff up for us. Right? Bob? What you doing? Of course, with my luck, he's going to go, that's a neutral block. You are on fly mode, right? You're on fly mode or you're on walk mode? Let's check. Thought you're on fly mode. You're on fly mode. Alright. Are you really? Huh. Interesting. So he doesn't like being on different grids now? Or do I have armored? I may have armor blocks. Grind mode. No, armor blocks are enabled. Of others. Energy low. Interesting. So Bob should be working on this thing, but maybe we're outside of his range since it's off grid. Anyway, I think we are going to call this one here. I want to thank y'all for stopping in. You know the routine. Like, subscribe, spam to your friends and family. It's all good. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank y'all for stopping in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you and and talking about what's going on. And yes, we will be painting this thing some colors. I'm not sure which colors, but we will paint it some color. And it won't be the yellow. It won't, and it probably won't be the beige. I haven't really decided on color schemes yet. I know a couple people have given me a little bit of grief about that over the years, but that's okay. That's what makes it fun, right? Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Enjoy your week, and we will see you back here on Wednesday for a little bit more of this build. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. Oh, let's go get some power. More power.